Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Guitarist TV. My name is Mike Diego. We're in Basingstoke in England right now, and somebody very special that I'm having a chat to this afternoon. It's a relaxed, laid-back chat before the man goes on stage, and so we're very privileged to have with us this afternoon from the band, the Straits, Mr. Terence Reis. Hello, Terence.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome to Guitarist
Thank
TV.
you very much.
Thank you so
Nice
much for taking the time out. I know you guys are busy and
About to sound check. Yeah.
about sound checks and all this kind of stuff going down. So it is a busy time for you, and it's probably quite a stressful time before you get to go on stage, or do you mellow out before you go on?
I find sound checks to be pleasantly relaxing, actually, because you get out, you feel the air, you feel the room, and we played last night at St Albans, and before that we were up in Norwich, and you couldn't have got two more different rooms.
Really?
So
Yeah.
it kind of, you calibrate, you get the feel of it and the sight line. So I like it. It takes the edge off a bit, and it's just nice to feel. And you've got this, you know, that every room, for some reason, strings feel different in every room because of temperature and lights and things like that. So, and you get to sort of, you just get to make peace with the room, I think, before you go out and play. I quite like that. Yeah.
Do you have a guitar tech that looks like?
We do.
Yes.
A rather magnificent Graham Lilly, who used to tech for Gary Moore before he passed away, and he's just fantastic. You know, he's an absolute wizard. You turn around, the guitar's there, and it's fantastic. Really, really good. Yeah.
And part of his job is to make sure the guitars are in tune during the show.
Yeah, and a bit more besides. You know, it's just they're placed, and he does the whole setup for you and makes sure that everything's working fine. He makes sure everything's, that some of the guitars that obviously have active pickups and things like that.
Yeah, okay, right.
Checks the batteries and make sure the strings are fresh, and check the condition of things, and it's just takes the load off. You can just stay focused on the playing side of things. You know, it's great.
That's amazing.
It's a luxury.
very necessary. Sort of something that you really need on tour.
Sure,
really,
yeah.
Because your schedule. If you look on the Guitarist TV app, plug. You'll see the Straits have got their own link right at the bottom, and if you click on that button, it'll take you through to the tour dates that the Straits are actually doing right now. And believe me, it's quite a list of.
Well, the year's starting to cram up. I'm delighted to say. It's always that way, the horrible cold wind of silence. When the year ends, you think, and everyone breaks for Christmas and things like that, and you think, well, let's see what happens. And these gigs we're doing right now were really, I suppose, a kind of warm up. It's not in a disparaging way at all, but just to kind of everyone getting back into it again. And everyone's done different things. I've been on a couple of other projects. Chris White's been working with his with Polly Wood, getting shows ready for her, and Alan has been doing writing as well and working on bits and pieces, and everyone's been doing bits and pieces, and you come back and tune into it again, you know, and that's what these gigs are for, really, and it's great. There's often a freshness to it and a kind of an excitement, which is always lovely.
That's good. So let's talk about Terence Reis, the guitarist.
It's Reis, actually. I know everyone. I hate to correct
Say it again?
Reis, like
Really?
beige. It's Portuguese.
Really?
Yeah, Terence Reis.
I didn't know you were Portuguese.
Well, a bit.
A bit.
The name bit.
Right.
My dad is Portuguese, Welsh.
Right.
My mum's English, and grew up very English, but from Mozambique, which is a Portuguese colony. So that's home. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very beautiful part of Africa.
Oh,
really.
just it's taken a lifetime to realise that you lived in a holiday resort.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't think it was just home, you know. Isn't everywhere like this? No, it's not.
And then as time went by, you guys moved to South Africa? Did you move?
First to Malawi, and then
right.
my dad, we got transferred, and ironically we were on our way to London, and last minute it got turned around, it was Johannesburg.
Oh, right.
And so I moved to South Africa to live in, it would have been 87, and being sort of the typical freelance entertainer, you just follow the work, and you just work like an idiot. And suddenly 15 years have gone by, and I was absolutely burned out. And I took a sabbatical and ended up in England for that. and the road just went off in a completely different direction. And I was suddenly involved in a lot of music, and that move led to the Straits, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And here you are.
And here I am in Basingstoke.
At the anvil.
At the anvil, yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful.
It
really,
is.
yeah. Stunning, yeah.
It's a hidden away gem in this part of the world, actually.
Yeah, I would imagine so. You're driving and suddenly it's there.
That's it, exactly.
That is the rather wonderful Steve Ferrone.
Hello,
Steve.
Hello.
Mike de Jager from
Hello,
Guitarist TV. I am.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something disparaging? He's just a genius. It's used I think probably unfairly a lot of time, but he's just an extraordinary drummer, that man.
Really?
I've never come across anything like it.
Amazing.
I've told this story a couple of times there.
Yeah.
We'd been running some stuff, and I actually said to him afterward in a break, and I said, how do you get so much space in your drumming? It's a massive sound, and how do you, it's just, I don't know what that is. I don't know how you quantify it. And he looked at me and he said, the thing is, my groove is wide. And I think that is just the best expression for drumming.
That is awesome.
Yeah, but is your groove wide? Brilliant, wonderful player.
That's nice. Mm. Your style of playing lends itself very much to the theme of the Straits. Is that how you played all your life?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I grew up in Mozambique, so my first, I suppose, exposure to guitar players, if you want to put it that way, was sort of African street pickers.
Yeah,
and so the first people I saw were playing with their fingers, and it's difficult to, maybe in the world that we have now with digital doodads and apps and whatnot and computers and that, but there was no television.
No.
We had radio, and so I never saw people playing in bands. I never saw rock bands. I saw photographs and things like that, but I listened to a lot of music. Yeah. So the people I saw were playing with their fingers, and I also found it to be quite a, there was something magical about these guys just walking down the street with that rolling African rhythm, the thumb going. It's almost like a claw hammer thing, and it made a huge impression on me. And this would have been sort of, I was probably aware of it in the early 70s, that I would have been a young kid and seeing it. And around that time, obviously, folk rock was coming along, and then there was Fingerpicking coming out. So you started to hear Simon & Garfunkel and things like that, and and the prog rock bands and that kind of element. There was that sort of element that Don McLean's and all that stuff was going on, acoustic rock and things like that. So, and it did catch my ear, and it sounded, to an ignorant ear like mine, it sounded sort of magical. It sounded, I probably didn't think, oh, that's fingerpicking and that's not. There was just this something magical about it. And when you see it, it seemed a very attractive thing. You think, well, what's going on? Everything seems to be flying, and it sounds so delicate, and it clearly made an impression. And so, when I started getting into playing, which would probably have been in the sort of mid-teens, I met people at school, and you meet other kids, and you're listening to records and all that, and you meet people who play. And I do remember seeing folkies on the grass and playing, and saying, oh, it's that, and wanting to deconstruct it in some way. I do remember that very clearly. But there was no plan. There never was. I remember reading something Bruce Springsteen saying. He said, well, I played the guitar because I thought I'd meet girls. That sort of thing. Don't want to misquote Bruce, but that's what I remember reading that. But for me, there was no plan to be a musician. There was no plan to be a guitar player. There was no great burning ambition. It was just something that I found amazing, and like a great hobby that I'd turn back to, and you'd come back to it. And my training was in theatre, and I worked as an actor for many years, but the guitar was always there. And when I did start playing and I met other people and I was playing with my fingers, I suppose this again, but towards the end of the late 70s, early 80s, and that I was playing, and people go, oh, you sound like that bloke from Dire Straits, and because of the finger thing, and it became sort of like a party trick, and people go, oh, can you do that? How would you do that? And you kind of going, I don't know. Well, I think the first time I ever saw a clip of Mark playing would have been mid-80s, I suppose, and I saw when I was at university, there would have been probably been something on, but I never saw Dire Straits play. I never, or anything like that. But it started to naturally evolve. And by the time I was doing it, it was, well, it's sort of a similar thing. It's very similar, that clawhammer really thing.
So there's a natural style that you've had most of your life.
Yeah. Of a sort, of a finger picker. It was always. I mean, I played with a pick. I've done all that. You know, I remember playing with the first hairy, greasy rock bands that we've all been there, haven't we? You know, and I do remember that. And when I played, I'd be doing things with fingers, and they go, oh man, no, that's not right, man. I went, no, you can't. And I'd go, really? And then, of course, Jeff Beck came along, and everyone went, ooh. Yeah, shut up.
he ditched the plectrum many years ago. To him, I've often heard him say, a plectrum's are for beginners. You know, that's a classic.
Well, it does. It's great. Even now, if you pick up a lovely acoustic and you've got to thrash away with a pick, it's kind of, oh God, it's great. But I find what pushed the finger playing for me even further was very early on. I got very into writing, and it turns the guitar a bit into a piano. I find almost, because you're playing moving parts, and that for me, I found it as a writing tool to be great, really a lovely way in, as opposed to just bashing. I mean, if I had a guitar here, I would sort of show you what I mean, and typically if you were saying, okay, you're going to do this, and how you might approach it from a pick point of view, and from a finger point of view, and so that cemented it for me a lot, and I don't know, I suppose all guitar players would understand this, the kind of the wonderful chaotic journey of discovery when you play this thing, and I suppose any player, but it's probably very much more the guitar that doesn't have the rigors and control of the classics. I've always thought of the guitar as it as an instrument. Seems capable. I could be wrong, but it seems to be, to me, capable of taking on personality almost more than any other, because of the colors, the shapes, and it's got so many options to it. The electric guitar specifically, what pickups, what wood, what all kinds of things. How do you adorn it? How do you play it? What string gauges? That it becomes such a personalized thing, custom, like a custom car or something.
I mean, I remember chatting to Steve Lukather, and he said, I was talking about his style and how amazing I think he is as a player, and he was saying to me, you can have a blues riff that you can get to 6 different guitar players, and not one of them will play the same. I know. They're completely different.
And it's not just the hands. I mean, we all know. Yes. It might take your lifetime to learn it, but it all is just in your hands. That, and that's part of, to go back about the finger picking thing. I think you sound like that way because you are that way.
That is you. Isn't it?
And for some reason, I don't know what. I mean, I go back thinking about the people from the beginning saying, you sound like that bloke. I realize now I just sound like that guy. I didn't sit down there and go, well, what's amp, which is just an acoustic guitar. No, it just comes out that way.
It evolved over time.
But very much so. And then never mind just the hands, then what guitar they like, or amp, or what effects, and it's such a...
Because Knopfler's never released a "this is how I play" video.
I don't know. Has
it?
Never seen probably not.
No. Because that's his...
Well, his was also... Alan Clark was telling me that he had conversations with Mark, and Mark learned the guitar very much in solitude. He was a teacher, and so it was something that developed late night, and the eccentricity of it came from time spent alone, and there's something to be said for that, and
I think your style is very much you, and Mark's style is very much him.
Yeah, I mean,
there are similarities, but...
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's impossible not to, and I think you can arrive somewhere at the same place via different roads, and I don't mean literally the same place, but in the area, because my love affair with music and the things that I like, you might find there was something. I love folk and I love blues, but I like blues from the storytelling. I always thought of blues really as an extrapolation of folk. They're diaries, aren't they? It's not 12 bars of guitar madness.
No.
I love that side of it, and I love roots music, and I like acoustic. and I really, if I had to say what my most comfortable place as a player, I would say I'm really kind of a turbo boosted acoustic player. Really, I take an electric guitar, and you just put a jet engine on it, which is really an acoustic. You know, that to me feels more like home. Whether you've got the Les Paul, we've got this lovely Les Paul, you know, in the show, and it's great. You've got the 4x12, and the valves are steaming, and heat haze coming off it, but it feels like an acoustic thing almost to me. It's about wood, and I like that.
When we did a little show together, in South Africa, more clinic than anything.
That's
else.
right. Yeah. That was fun, actually. Yeah.
And part of that show, you played a song which you'd written, which very much tells a story. From beginning to end. And that story is not only in the vocal line. Yeah. It's a lot in the guitar feel, the way that you.
Well, I've always thought that. I've always thought of music that way. I've always thought that, and it's just an extrapolation of the human condition. You know, I don't care if you talk about something that might have been traumatic, or something that's ugly, or something beautiful. The music is just someone giving expression to it in some way or another. So for me, writing and songs, it's the music side of it is the soundtrack to the narrative of what, even if the story is something simple like, you know, you're great, I love you, and that'll do sort of thing. Yes. And that's whatever goes with that. And I think the song you were talking about was something just written about my daughter when she was very little, and
that's the one.
The story about and I wanted to get that kind of the childlike, the naivety in the music, and the laughter, and that sound of laughing, and using that and you know, how do you take a guitar and say, well, how do you get innocence in what was really an instrument that's associated with probably the more sordid parts of human behaviour, if guitarists are anything to go by, you know.
But you managed to get the expression of a bubbly child.
That kind of thing,
The technique that you used when you played it.
That's right, yeah.
That was amazing.
Don't believe all this.
It's Alan Clark. Yes. He's a fantastic guitar player.
Oh well, it's been lovely talking to you.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's been so nice to see you again after.
We've got to do it again sometime.
Yes,
have another play.
Yes, it'd be nice.
And enjoy the show, because are you in tonight?
It's full house tonight. Yes.
We can get you in.
Are you sure?
I'm sure we can get you in.
That'd be lovely.
Full house. That's great.
That's a really well.
No, we'll make a plan. We'll make a plan.
That'd be lovely. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Mike.
We wish you every success on your tour.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you on stage tonight.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
And to all the viewers of Guitarist TV, thank you so much for tuning in. From myself, Mike Diego, and from the master, Terence Reis. Ciao, ciao.